All right, everyone, welcome back. Another episode of Talking Toads. This is the Houston preview. We have another Cougar team, 2 weeks in a row. How lucky! Um, yeah, we will preview the 6-4 Horned Frogs as they travel down to Houston, Texas, to face a ranked Houston team, 24th in the country. Reed, how are we feeling about this game in particular? Is there any sort of positive outlook here?
Based off the past few weeks, probably not, but I will tell you something positive is our friends over at Ardiesco Goods. That's spelled Ardiesco. Use the code Talking Toads without a G, and that's all caps. Use that code on their website for 20% off anything you order. So they've been great supporters of us through this sad TCU football year, and we really do appreciate them. Also make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment on YouTube. We're still at 110 for the year for subscriber count on YouTube, so that's been pretty stagnant. Maybe if the Frogs win more, the subscriber count would go up. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out this weekend. But yeah, no, we appreciate our friends at RDSco. And yeah, if y'all watch the BYU postgame show, you can see that Austin and I are still in the same clothes. So we're a little stinky, or we might be recording 5 minutes after we did the BYU one. So we'll let y'all's minds determine what's up with that.
Or we just really like these outfits and we don't ever change, and this is just how we live. All right. Well, yeah. Where do we begin? We talked through the BYU loss. Let's just try to forget about kind of everything that took place there and just try to take this game for what it is. Houston, like I said, they're third in the Big 12. They have two losses, one to West Virginia just a few weeks ago, and then one earlier in the season against Texas Tech. Both of those games at home, which I think is noteworthy. Um, I think the line tells you a lot. What did it open it at?
It opened at 2.5, and now it's down to 1.5.
Yeah,
So
that's what I saw, 1.5.
So if this was a home game, TCU would be favored. So Vegas is pretty much telling you this is a toss-up, which is interesting because Houston's coming in at number 23 in the country, and we're on a losing skid over the past two games, and I think three out of the past four or something like that. So it is interesting that there's so much parity that Vegas thinks, at least in the Big 12, with the team sliding down, like TCU has a chance of beating the number 23 team in the country. However, Vegas was wrong, way off about the BYU game last week. They were only 3.5 point favorites against TCU, and boy, they covered that pretty easily. But moving on to Houston, yeah, it should be 80 degrees and sunny, perfect football weather. I wish it was a little colder. I'm not going, but so I don't really care. But I feel like it should be a little colder this time of the year. But yeah, if you just look at Houston's schedule, they got blown out by Tech and they lost to West Virginia. However, I think there is a pretty sneaky good win in there. They went on the road to Arizona State and won 24-16. And Sam Levitt did play that game. So we went to Tempe against ASU and lost, and Houston was able to beat them. So they've had a couple of good opponents, and they've beaten one and lost one pretty easily. Then also a weird loss to West Virginia. And their last win was not the previous week, but 2 weeks before against UCF, where they won by a field goal. So they're coming off a bye, so they've had multiple weeks to prep for TCU. Their quarterback Connor Wigman's transfer from Texas A&M. He's been decent this year. I think he's been struggling more as of late. So yeah, what do you think about this game going into the weekend?
Yeah, I truly don't know a ton about this Houston team. It just feels like they play it, I don't know, weird hours, or it's not the Big 12 game that you're typically watching. I snuck over and watched some of that Texas Tech game when they did play there. Um, I'm pretty sure that their starting quarterback Wegman got hurt in that game at some point, but I'm not exactly sure if that was at the beginning or maybe towards the end. But I think that had something to do with it too. But again, that game was never really close. Yeah, I don't know a ton about this team. I know they have some really fun players. like their starting wide receiver and their starting running back have made some nice big explosive plays for them. But aside from that, I think they're just another group of guys that have had a fairly favorable schedule. You know, the hard teams at home, and like you said, have been able to take care of some of those away games too. So Dean Connors, that's his name, the running back. I've seen some really nice plays from him. He kind of just explodes and breaks a lot of tackles. He's one of those power runners. So um, that was what stuck out to me when I was looking at this team is one potential matchup that I just don't love for us.
No, and Connors reminds me a little of Scadaboo when he was at Arizona State, just a power runner. And you got to remember, this team is led by Willie Fritz, who's a really, really good coach. He's kind of been flying under the radar this year, and I think he's getting the credit that he's due this year, just based off him having Houston at 7-2. Um, but yeah, last year, if you think back to the Houston game, that's probably the worst loss we've had. One of the worst over the past 5+ years. We lost 30-19 in Fort Worth, and if you remember, that was on a Friday night. So just weird vibes overall. And the final score looked better than what it actually was. We could have easily lost by 30. So hopefully, I know we have a lot of players returning from last year, and they still have a bad taste in their mouth from that game. So hopefully that'll give them a little motivation going into this game. But then again, we really haven't seen the players come out too excited to play over the past few weeks.
It's the Manjack return game.
Yep.
Manjack returns to his old team. You wonder what his where his head's at if he made the wrong decision by hopping over. Probably thought TCU would be more competitive than Houston this year, but that's obviously a big storyline. You mentioned the weather, and I think it's kind of funny. It's been noted that Houston has a really bad crowd,
Yep.
so I don't expect the crowd or there's like zero stress for me in terms of just the atmosphere on Saturday. Bad weather or good weather, whatever it is, it's pretty noted that Houston has a pretty poor following at their home crowd. So if anything, maybe that's a positive, and that this should feel kind of like a home game.
Who knows? There might be maybe 20,000 people there, Max, because TCU fans are fed up. And like you said, Houston fans aren't the best.
And
And
they're
Houston,
ranked. They
they
technically are on paper have a chance to go at this Big 12 thing, right? Which is
yeah, and
hilarious.
I don't, Houston's always been that way. Maybe, well, they definitely are more of a basketball school. They were in the national championship last year, so maybe their fans just are waiting until basketball season to pay for some tickets. But yeah, TCU has a big Houston alumni base. So it'll be interesting to see how many fans turn out for TCU. I would predict there won't be many just because where we're at this year and where we are in the Big 12. Um, but yeah, hopefully our road game can get going a little bit better. Hoover, he's been bad on the road pretty much all year. And really, I feel like we're kind of banged up going into this game still. It looks like Kavorian Barnes might be out again. So yeah, we'll just see where we are with at the injury front.
Yeah, very interested what happens with the injuries. It does seem like Barnes is out. I saw a report that Lemmerman had a setback. Not that that would make a huge difference at this point in the season, but it feels like Lemmerman won't be back this year, so we'll continue with McCashland. I mentioned in the last episode, Bud Clark. It looked, I mean, who am I? But it looked like he had a stinger or his shoulder got messed with early on last Saturday. And that's not nothing to lose a leader like Bud Clark these last two games. So, yeah, man, I don't know. This could easily be a bounce back game for Hoover and kind of instill that confidence again because it's clear that it's gone right now. Houston defense is good, but it's not anything to necessarily write home about. They've been able to contain some of these quarterbacks along the way, but nothing jumps out at the page to say that they could completely shut down Hoover. So that's going to obviously be the key. This doesn't sound like groundbreaking football breakdown here, but Hoover has to bounce back for there to be any chance, or else you can write this game off as a 44-13 game again.
If we saw 44-13 again, I think Twitter would explode. Um, Yeah, no, I'm just excited to see whether I think they've kind of already quit on Dykes with that BYU game, and I wonder if it's going to be a domino effect the rest of the year with Houston and Cincinnati. And you mentioned the Houston defense. A guy I want to call out here that we have to contain is Eddie Walls. He's their leading pass rusher with 5.5 sacks on the year. And Lord knows our offensive line has struggled for the most part on the year, especially at the tackle position. So if we have any chance of winning this game, we have to contain the D line better than we have all year. And like you said, Houston, they do have a pretty good defense, and they clearly know how to scout and prep for us just based off what they did to us last year.
Does Wegman's ability to run scare you in this game? I know he's able to, but I don't know. To me, I wasn't truly scared of Bachmeyer, and I guess I should have been. But now, are you starting to think differently about how this defense plays quarterbacks that can actually scramble and run for the ball?
Yeah, I definitely am. And it seems like we've struggled with dual threat quarterbacks over the past handful of years. And if I'm just looking at the stats from their last game against UCF, Wigman ran it 22 times. So they clearly aren't afraid to run him. And I think that's probably going to be part of their game plan going into this game. For whatever reason, we're just not able to contain dual threat quarterbacks pretty well. And I wouldn't be shocked if he had 20 plus carries this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that many that last game. That it will definitely be part of their game plan, and it's going to be up to our linebackers to have a better game than they did last weekend. Because, like I said, I was that was one of the things I was also most disappointed in. Is it just felt like we were completely lost in whatever types of plays that BYU was running, whether it be a RPO or breakdowns in the secondary where they could scramble and the linebackers were turning the other way. So um, that will absolutely be something to watch. Is just if Wegman has over 15 carries this weekend, that's probably doesn't bode well for TCU's chances.
No, probably not. Going to the TCU side, are you kind of at the point where you just want the young guys to play? Like, I just want to see what Denman has running the ball. Gil Jackson at corner, maybe give him a chance to start. I just want to see the freshmen and sophomores play, get more playing time. Going back to last week against BYU, I forgot to mention it looked like they still had the majority of the starters in who are upperclassmen still in the game in the fourth quarter. That made zero sense to me. You're risking injury, and also you have to see what you got with the young guys because your strategy recruiting wise is clearly going after high school kids instead of using the transfer portal that heavily. So at some point, you just got to see what you got and roll with it, live with the good and the bad. Because let's be honest, another loss this year really won't hurt you with the Big 12 title contention, and another win really won't gain you anything, maybe other than a better bowl game. So just give the young guys some playing time. I'm tired of seeing the same guys getting ran over there, not performing at the level they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. This would have been a great game for Ed Small to get some more play time. Still don't really know what that injury is, but he's been out the last few weeks. And some of these other younger wide receivers, our boy Jacoby Hayes, I know is injured as well. So yeah, absolutely. I think this is a game where you could sneak some of those younger guys in. I think the some of the secondary guys did get some play time last weekend. It didn't look great, but no doubt that getting those guys some more experience and making them feel more bought into the program, no matter what happens this year, will obviously be a positive. So I was just looking if Manjak's a senior. Okay. For some reason, I thought maybe he had 2 years of eligibility left, but nope. This
He
is
looks like he's about 26, and he probably had 5 different COVID years. A guy I wanted to point out real quick. I keep seeing his name in pressers and practice reports and all that. Terry Shelton, his name keeps popping up, but it seems like he's getting no playing time for whatever reason. So yeah, he's just a guy I want to see as well. Get some catches along the way, build his confidence, and like you said a few guys that were in the secondary against BYU or younger guys didn't play well. Well, that just gives you more film on what you might be able to like kind of lead them out the door and say, hey, you won't be here next year. It's better for you to find a new home, and that can just help your roster prep for next year. So I don't see what the downfall would be for playing the young guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all bets are off now. I mean, like you said, there's not much to play for other than vibes and see what you got for next year. Some guys that obviously some graduating seniors are going to try to have some meaningful playing time next year. So you got to try to plug them in.
Yep. 100%. I know this one will probably be a short one. It's kind of a gross game overall. So let's just get into predictions. What do you got?
Man, TCU has shown me no reason to bet them to win this next week. If they were competitive last week against BYU, I would have picked them to beat Houston, but I'm going to pick them to lose this one. Um, I would again be shocked if we're killed, and I don't know why I think that way because I'm probably because I'm insane. But
You're sick in the head.
I am, yeah, I'm disgusting. So I'm picking us to lose still, but I think it'll be more like a 31. Give me 31 to 24. Um,
Okay.
I think it'll probably feel worse than that, but I could see us kind of hanging in there because again, I don't think Houston is as good as BYU, and in my heart, I want to believe that they're going to bounce back from that embarrassing performance because that truly was the worst performance of the year last year. So I'm going with total vibe check here. Lose a close one at Houston.
I'm with you. They've given me no reason to trust them, especially on the road. And to me, this game just has the vibes of a death by 1,000 paper cuts. I think Wegman's going to keep getting these 3rd and 3 carries that he's getting 4 or 5 yards on. Then he'll pop a couple of play action passes to keep moving the sticks. And I just have a feeling they're going to be able to control the clock, kind of like what they did last year. So I'm going to go Houston 24-17. I think it'll be closer than last week, but still, it's another loss for TCU, and that would put them at 6-5 on the year going into the last regular season game of the year against Cincinnati. But yeah, just zero faith in this team. They are what they are, and it's disappointing we're at this point.
Man, it's all right. Give me one path where we do win this game. I guess what are a few things that need to happen aside from my groundbreaking breakdown that Hoover needs to bounce back. What else needs to happen?
Well, the few games I've watched of Houston, Wigman is prone to turning the ball over a little bit through the air. I know UCF, they had a couple picks last time they played, or what was that, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I could see him turning the ball over a few times, but then again, our corners haven't been the best this year, so I don't know if you can trust that. And still, we aren't able to run the ball well, and Houston has a good front, so all the plus yards and plus first downs and all that are gonna have to come through the air. So Hoover's gonna have to carry the team on his shoulders, and has he really shown us that this year, especially in crunch time? No. But yeah, your path to victory is gonna be through the air, I think.
Yeah, and Hoover can't, like you said, Hoover can't make mistakes. I mean, this needs to be a no turnover game. Frankly, no more interceptions for the rest of the year if you're really trying to win these games. It's been really poor from that side of things, and who knows? Maybe some of that is on the wide receivers. I know I can think of two picks that were deflections or drop balls that ended up being picks. So there is some of that, and in the O line play too. I think our running backs need to do a better job of just finding some of these holes because this is what it is. We've moved some things around. These are the guys. Running backs have to just find a way to give me 70, 80 yards on the ground, something.
I just still can't put it on the running backs because, especially against Iowa State, there were multiple plays where they were getting hit 3 to 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So they really aren't getting their best effort from the big boys up front. But yeah, no, this just has another gross loss written all over it. Let's quickly get into our 5 best bets of the week. Lester, last week you went 3-2. I went 2-3, and Stan, who's not on here, went 1-4. So for the year, Lester is 27-24. I'm 26-25. I'll go ahead and kick us off. Kind of gross. I have all favorites this week, which I don't like at all. Clearly, a few of them are bound to lose spread wise. So I'm going to go Texas minus 8.5 against Arkansas. I think they bounce back. They like beating up on good or bad teams, and they bounce back against that performance against Georgia last week. Then I'm going to go to Norman. I think the Sooners beat Mizzou, or they cover the 7.5 against Mizzou. Mizzou's still without Prabula, and they have a true freshman starting on the road. So I like the Sooners there. Give me SMU minus 2.5 against Louisville. Tulane minus 7.5 at Temple. I don't know if you've seen the Tulane coach's press conferences, but he just keeps saying how much they suck. So he's a sicko, and I think he's just playing mind games with his players, which I like. So I like Tulane there. Then this team, they've been good to me all year. I haven't watched a second of them, but give me Jacksonville State minus 1.5 at FYU. Literally no reason other than they've won for me this year.
I love it. I like all of those, especially the OU pick. I had the same thought with Mizzou starting a true freshman at OU, and with OU's run that they're going on, I just see no way that Mizzou, frankly, even makes that one close. So I also have OU to cover that 7.5 point spread. Um, Going with some others, I guess I'll go right to the Big 12 game that I have. I think BYU covers that 2.5 point spread against Cincinnati. I feel like now that I've seen them in person, I am a believer in BYU and whatever they're cooking. I don't know, but they seem just so sound. They never seem stressed out, and they just play really well. And that spread is nothing to me. I think Cincinnati uh, could very well get killed by BYU, even though it's at Cincy. So give me BYU there. Syracuse and Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a 35.5 point spread. I just think that's too much. I know Syracuse is bad, but that's a lot of points. Just looking at Syracuse's schedule, they're obviously on quite the losing streak. But I think the most they've lost by is like 25 or something. I mean, 35 and a half is crazy to me. I'm sorry. I think Notre Dame's a really good team, but that's a crazy spread. So give me Syracuse. I think Georgia Tech covers their 2.5 point spread against Pittsburgh. That was another game I watched last week. I just don't think Pittsburgh's a super great team. I think Georgia Tech is obviously much better than them. And then surprisingly, USC and Oregon. I'm actually going to take USC there. It's a 9.5 point spread. I know it's in Oregon, but I expect USC to go in there and make it competitive. I have no idea why, but I just sense that. So maybe they prepped pretty well with the rain game they had last weekend. But um, those are mine. I think that's my five. When I'm now realizing I didn't even bet on my white whale this weekend.
First time all year, I believe. That USC Oregon game just has my brain in a blender. I could see it going both ways with that 9.5. USC, it looks like they're starting to be more physical this year, and that's been their Achilles heel, or well, really Lincoln Riley's Achilles heel or his whole career. Um, so yeah, to me that's a toss up. I would probably lean USC if I bet it.
I am looking now. North Texas is an 18.5 point favorite against Rice.
Too late to change. Those picks are signed, sealed, and delivered.
Get the Mean Green in the college football playoff. At this point, that's what I'm rooting for. And little known secret about me, I wouldn't mind Maker and Eric Morris making their way down the highway down to Fort Worth next season. But we'll save that for a future episode. Again, that's just my white whale of the season, and I'm not letting them go.
That's fair. That's fair. They've been good to you. Kind of like Jack State and UNLV have been good to me. So shout out to all these small schools.
I've also been betting on A&M a lot this season, which is odd of me, and I didn't this week. So hey, maybe they'll lose now.
But yeah, well, they almost did to who was that last week?
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina. Yeah,
Shout out
I
to
had the over in that game, and that was super easy.
Yeah. Shout out to
Um,
Buddy. Thanks a lot for where you've left us, dude.
yeah, he's left us with a pile of flaming dog poop. So, all right, y'all. You got anything else for this Houston game?
No, that's it. I know that wasn't a ton of X's and O's there, but if you can't tell, ladies and gentlemen, we are down bad right now. We are down bad, and I
There's a
don't even
lot going on.
it's to the point where we don't even know if a win would feel great. That's what's sad.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know where my head's at. Continue to go through it with us. Leave a comment. Ask questions. We've been getting some questions, and we've tried to answer them in future episodes. So keep that going, and yeah, we'll keep this going. And as we approach episode 30, we'll see if we have officially made it to the Rate Bowl at this point. So that's all I got.
This sounds so depressing. Let's just go ahead and log off.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to another episode of Talking Toads. We'll talk to you here, I guess, after this game. Lord help us. Go
Help
Frogs.